Hi, I'm John Mallos. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Monday morning. Glad you're here. It's on the air, off the press as a first-time guest, a special guest in the studio today to talk about the tragedy and many other things. The tragedy that happened overnight in Las Vegas. You can call in, weigh in at 436-ME-TV, option 11. Connect with me starts right now.
Tonight I want to discuss the importance of the television medium to the American people.
All right, back here on the program on a Monday morning, a grim Monday morning at that. I will give you just a little heads up about tomorrow's program. We have Leanne Eager in here talking about high-speed rail. She just returned from Spain with the mayor, Lee Brandt, and some other dignitaries over there studying high-speed rail over in Spain, so we'll be here to talk about that tomorrow. So let's get right into the program. You're watching us live on Comcast Channel 375 as usual. It's Comcast Cable, 375, 43.6, 13.1 over-the-air broadcast if you don't have cable or satellite or whatnot. Anyway, the replay comes up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 13.6 YouTube, 8 o'clock tonight, 4.6 Biz TV. After that, you can go on our YouTube page and catch all the episodes, including this one, or you can just go to Ventura Broadcasting. You can hook up with our Connect With Me webpage, and then all the videos on this program, the last 5.5 years, will appear on that page, including this program today. So we start off with a very grim Monday morning. Like many of you, I woke up this morning, checked my phone, and saw the massacre that took place in Las Vegas. A shooter opened fire during a concert, killing at least 58, possibly 59 at this point. More than 500 people were injured, taken to the hospital. More casualties, more people could die. They're in the hospital right now. The FBI, CIA, Homeland Security, they're all in on this, as well as the Vegas Police Department. It was a scramble because this happened during the Harvest Festival. It's a 3-day country event. It happened at the Mandalay Bay Resort. That's where the suspects supposedly opened fire. Within 4 minutes of this happening, the Las Vegas Police Department converged. They found out where he was shooting from on the 32nd floor of the hotel. And there they found dead Stephen Paddock, 64 years old, of Mesquite, Nevada. They say he is the suspect in all of this. It happened during a concert. Jason Aldean was performing, and so there were thousands of people in there. It was a 3-day event, and so apparently this guy Paddock, 64 years old, came in. We don't know much about him. We don't know why he did it, what his motive was. We do know that he checked into the hotel at this point on Thursday. He was there for the better part of 3 days before this happened last night at around 10:08 p.m. Live in our studio right now is my guest to talk about this and much more, Joey Perez, Eggs and Bacon with Joey, on 32.3 over-the-air television broadcast on one of the Cocola broadcasting stations. He also simulcast on the radio. Joey, first-time guest, welcome to the program.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm happy that you're here too, but it's unfortunate it has to be on a day like
Very
today.
unfortunate.
Like many of us around the country, we woke up this morning and found out this grim news. What is this, in your opinion? You're a talk show host like me. What does this tell you or us about the state of our country?
Well, I got to tell you, first off, I had a personal touch to this story because my cousin was actually at the concert.
Okay.
And the first thing I thought about, because he goes every year, this is the 4th year that it's happened. And first thing that I thought about when I woke up this morning is, oh my gosh, I got to text him. I got to ask him how he's doing, if he's okay. I mean, you don't know. I mean, this is the first time something like this has ever happened so close to home. I texted him, and it took him a while to get back to me. But yeah, he is okay. Thank goodness, him and his wife.
You texted back and forth, or
texted
what?
back and forth, yeah. So now, remember, this happened at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock last night. So when I woke up this morning, 4 a.m., that's when I texted him. So he's already back at the hotel, and, you know, obviously...
Where is he staying? What hotel?
He's staying at the Luxor.
Okay.
Yeah, so they had, I mean, he couldn't get back into his room, but they at least had them in the lobby. They just let him back into the hotel room just about an hour or so ago. So, just that for me was, I've never experienced that ever in my entire life. So to actually have someone involved in something like this was just horrifying, I mean, to wake up, like that. And to answer your question, the state of our nation, I'm reading, right before I walked in the door here, that ISIS is claiming that they were involved in this, and I mean, the guy had no connection to ISIS according to authorities. So
no connection to any group, as far as we know so far.
Yeah.
Of course, his home in Mesquite, authorities got a search warrant. They're going through everything in the house now, and they were very cautious. They sent robots in to begin with to be very cautious, because you don't know, booby traps could have been set. We don't know what organizations this man belongs to. Name is Stephen Paddock, 64 years old, of Mesquite. They interviewed his brother, who's on the East Coast. I believe Orlando, Florida is where he lives. Yeah. And his brother was in stunned disbelief as he was being interviewed this morning. But I got to ask you something, because there's this long debate that's going to go on now about gun control. Okay. Is it possible to have liberty and justice at the same time?
You know what? That's a tough question, but I will tell you this. I mean, when I look at the situation, you have a gentleman here, Stephen Paddock, who comes.
Hang on, caller.
Okay.
No, go ahead. Hang on, caller.
Okay, so we have this gentleman, Stephen Paddock, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, with the whole ISIS thing or whatever, that's their whole thing, that they want to create propaganda that they're involved with it. I think that Stephen Paddock is a lone wolf. They were talking about that he had gambled or made transactions several times in the past couple hours before this happened. Mm-hmm. Could he have lost a lot of money? I mean, is he depressed? What's going on there? And then on top of that,
ex-girlfriend that's out of the country.
Ex-girlfriend out of the country. You talk about liberty and justice. I mean, who are we to say somebody else can't walk into a hotel tomorrow with a bag of guns and shoot up rooms? I mean, this guy shot out of at a concert, but who's to say somebody walks in with guns to a hotel? They're not being checked. You don't go through a screening process there at the hotel room. Yeah. So I think I would be okay with being inconvenienced at a hotel, waiting for an hour or two to get to my room, to make sure that these bags are checked.
Yeah.
So when you say liberty and justice, I mean, you know what? It's my freedoms, but at the same time, I'm okay with, being precautious and making sure that nobody's walking into my hotel with guns.
Yeah, in other words, I guess what the debate is going to be now is gun control, violation of civil rights, profiling, all that's going to come up. But the other question is could this event have been prevented? Is there any law that we could put on the books that could have prevented this?
I'm a promoter. I started off as a promoter before I got into broadcast journalism.
Right. We'll talk about that during the course. But is there any law that could be put on the books that could have stopped this?
I don't think so. Because, I mean, you're talking about an open-filled concert. I mean, the promoters of this concert this is a fourth year doing it. So they did everything to make sure that they had enough police officers, enough security, everything, crowd control, everything licensed, insurance event. Nobody thought that, someone from the 32nd floor of the hotel, Mandalay Bay, across the way, because this is a parking lot where this concert took place. Nobody thought that there was going to be a shooting from a sniper going on there.
Yeah, and it's quite a distance from the hotel itself to the actual concert area. They were talking about that today, and they showed a map, and it really is quite far away. And the other thing is that you have, in Mandalay Bay, the hotel there, the windows are from the ceiling to the floor.
There's no way to open them.
No, so Paddock had to, no problem for him if he had 10 weapons, automatic weapons, he'd just shoot the window out, which I don't know I guess that's how it happened. But, and he wasn't, I guess, to shoot that many people. I mean, we're all guessing here because they've talked about this, and even authorities have talked about this on some of the morning shows today, that it doesn't seem at this point he was aiming at anybody in particular because it was too far away. He was just scatter shooting.
I've watched some of the, I've watched some of the videos. So Jason Aldean's performing, and then you hear the gunshots.
Correct.
And then you hear him stop.
You hear the rat tat 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 tat.
There's nothing going on for a while, and then you hear it again. Mm-hmm. So at some point, reloading, and then you see some spectators in the audience. Some are pointing at him or find out where the gun's coming from. Yeah. So there were a lot of people that were standing. There was one guy that I saw holding a beer, real relaxed while this whole thing's going on. So I think you're right there, where it was a scattered shooting. He didn't know really where he was shooting, where he was targeting. It was just, let me
He
just shoot
wanted
and
to
cause
shoot.
some problems.
Yeah, let's create some havoc. Caller, you've been patient. Go ahead. You're on the air with Joey Perez.
Terry, let me ask you a question. You know, I mean, this has to be just a random thing. You know, like anything could happen. He could have just snapped or whatever. He was angry about something. But like John says, there has to be something, even in the hotels, to have you know, where you go through where someone's carrying some kind of firearms and all that. You just figure if he's been there already 3 days, nobody questioned Bagsy, you know, he like you said, that he carried firearms and ammunition. But I figure, hey, nobody heard that in the hotel that he was staying. I mean, I don't know if I would have arrested him, but I sure would have called security or police officers. Hey, this has to be a way that something like that happened and not to happen anymore. I feel sorry for the 58 or so that lost their lives. I mean, even officials, you know, securities are off or even officers, but it was a random thing. He didn't care. I mean, you're talking about 20,000 people in the center. He could have got more,
Okay.
you know, but, you know, I guess he got all mad. He went to the restroom, then he shot himself, you know.
Okay.
That is crazy. I mean,
All right.
you know.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
He made a good point. The guy had been there for 3 days. What I'd like to see is the surveillance footage. I mean, did this guy have a big bag? I mean, he had 10 guns. Did he have?
But
did he have them in golf clubs?
You can break those guns down and bring them in small packages.
Or someone could have also delivered them to him to his room, if possible.
Could have, but that's not unusual. We live in a free society. Are they going to check everybody that has a package delivered to their room?
I mean,
come on.
Don't you want to be safe in your room? I mean, don't you want to be safe from some guy walking around with guns in your hotel?
Bay has got how many rooms? I don't even know.
I think maybe 270, 300 rooms.
Yeah, 300 rooms. So everything that comes in, you need to. Okay, so you're talking about X-ray machines,
something,
metal detectors,
something.
Just like the airport.
Something. I mean, here we are in this situation now where we see copycats. We see people, oh, well, this guy got in a hotel,
Perez.
and like this guy had guns in the hotel. There's no checking going on at the hotel rooms when you check in. Why not? Why not just have a little screening process where you put your bags through? That would make me feel safe. I mean, I'm kind of scared of going to the hotels in Vegas now.
Yeah, it's or scared to go anywhere.
But we can't live in fear either, though.
No.
We cannot live in fear. So even as a concert promoter myself, you know, and as I mentioned to you, as I started that way as a concert promoter, you know, I produce events and I try to do them as safely as possible. But this is something in a rare occurrence where you're not thinking there's going to be a sniper from a all glass hotel. Literally, I mean, you look at this place; it's all glass. Yeah. All windows. There's no sliding openings. There's no balconies, you know. When do you think that there's something like that's going to happen, you know?
Yeah, you just don't. And anyway, we'll continue talking about this on the other side of the break. You're welcome to call in and weigh in on this topic today. 436-MeTV option 11. We do have an open phone line if you want to call in. Back in just a moment.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Frigidaire Gallery appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy.
Time for that upgrade to an Energy Star qualified French door Frigidaire Gallery refrigerator. Quality appliances for the way you live.
Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise.
When you're looking for KitchenAid innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, will help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified KitchenAid appliances save you energy and money, and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
A moment of silence, of course. We're obviously observing a moment of silence for all the victims. At least 58 shot and killed this morning in Las Vegas in that shooting that took place. More than 500 were injured. They're in the hospital right now. The president weighed in on this today, early this morning, and he was as shocked as anybody. He plans to visit, I believe, Puerto Rico tomorrow and then Las Vegas on Wednesday. That's what we understand. But so the need for more gun control. Joey Perez is here. He has his own talk show daily, Eggs and Bacon with Joey on 32.3 over-the-air broadcast with one of the Cocola television stations, 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. So while he's getting off the air, we're actually getting on the air here on 43.6 and 13.1 and Comcast Channel 375. So, Joey, more gun control, is that the answer, or is that just not going to do anything?
I don't think gun control is the answer.
Because?
What I think is the answer is more precautionary measures. I mean, how does this guy get 10 guns?
And were they automatic weapons? Because automatic weapons are illegal.
Well, apparently what they're saying is you could buy the guns and then you can find ways to get the automatic portion added to the gun.
Right.
I'm not a gun owner, so I don't know. But apparently that's what they say. You can buy the gun legally and then find the automatic portions of the guns to make it an automatic weapon.
Yeah, and if there are any gun experts out there, you can call in and weigh in and update us or educate us on the gun situation. Here in California, they're adding more and more regulations, it seems, every year to these weapons of what you can and can't have. And so, go ahead. You were going to say something.
I mentioned something on my radio show about a year ago, and it was when the Bataclan concert incident occurred. And one of the things that I mentioned was anywhere there are large crowds, I feel like we have to take extra precautionary measures. So, in saying that, large crowds meaning concerts, large crowds meaning movie theaters, large crowds meaning hotels, I think those should all be considered sporting events, of course. But and those are the usual where you do have pat downs, you do have measures.
Not until recently at AT&T Park and the Oakland Coliseum, I might add.
Oh, because, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I think I don't know. Within the last year, maybe two, they started adding those metal detectors at AT&T. Because I used to go in with a soft covered lunchbox. I used to bring my own snacks and whatnot. They checked it, but there were no metal detectors. Now, I think all the stadiums pretty much have that. Come to think of it, I can't remember. I was recently in Boston over the summer, went to Fenway Park and saw the Red Sox and Yankees, walked into Fenway with my ticket, and I think there were metal detectors. I'd have to ask my son. I honestly can't remember. But I don't know if every venue has those now.
When I've gone to a movie theater, just as recent as 3 weeks ago, no metal detectors. Anybody can walk into a movie theater. In Fresno, no metal detectors. In Lemoore, no metal detectors. Anybody can walk into a movie theater and not be patted down. I mean, I think any place, and not to say I don't know exactly what movie theater does have metal detectors. Maybe there are. Maybe there are some that have metal detectors, but the ones that I've seen or the ones that I've been to do not have metal detectors. If there's an area with a large crowd, there should be the same type of permits and licensing that I have to go through as a promoter when I do an event at a hall or an arena, and I'm going to have a large group of people. What do they say to me? Oh, well, you got to get a dance permit. You got to make sure you have this amount of security. You got to make sure that you have this type of insurance. And not to say those movie theaters don't or other venues don't, but I think anytime that you have a large crowd, there has to be extra security, precautionary measures going on.
What's your background in promotion?
In promotion, I've been producing shows for almost, it's my 15th anniversary of our company, J Live Entertainment. But in regards to concerts and events, probably a little over 10 years.
A little over 10 years. And what kind of security have you provided for some of those concerts?
We've had not only local police officers in the cities that we do produce the events, and we also have, well-known security services where you're having, 5-10 guys, that are security services, and then you hire reserve officers from the local police department to be on standby.
Yeah, but no metal detectors coming in?
Metal detectors do come in with the security service. So the security service do bring the metal detectors in. But, it's just what I'm trying to get to is you mentioned gun control. I think the answer is, obviously more precautionary measures when it comes to these things. Now, with everything, we have to develop a new sense of security. Like, for example, this situation. Did we know that a sniper would shoot down on a concert area? This whole concert area is a parking lot. So this parking lot...
When did we know anything about any of these tragic
You're right,
events?
you're right.
Did we know anything about 9/11? Well, some people say our government did.
There's
okay,
a lot
but
of
did the normal
propaganda.
general population know about this? No. Did the concert goers know or have any kind of inclination? Obviously not. None of these tragedies that happen, we don't know anything in advance because obviously, obviously we would have done something about it. Hopefully we would have. My son just texted me. He said, yes, we did go through metal detectors at Fenway Park. And I asked this only because, baseball, they start their playoffs tomorrow. The Yankees play, then there's the one-game playoff, the National League, and then the full-blown playoffs start. And football season is in full swing, both in Oakland and Santa Clara, as we all know. So you worry about those venues and those events, even though there are metal detectors. Remember 2 years ago when Santa Clara hosted the Super Bowl?
Yes.
How much security there was in and around the stadium. Do we have to do that for every single venue? I mean, that costs a lot of money.
At this point, I mean, when we're having, what was the last time that we saw over 50 people at that nightclub in Orlando? What was that, 2 years ago? Can someone give me the right stat on that? It's, and the Ariana Grande concert. Now that wasn't in the States. That was out in Manchester, where that took place. But we're starting to see that where there's large groups of people, this is now becoming a target. So if I'm the promoter of an event, I want to work the best I can with law enforcement or security service to make sure that I could do anything possible to prevent something like this. Now, as we just mentioned, the guy shooting from a 32nd floor at Mandalay Bay on a concert area that was well secure, enforced with police officers. This event happened in a parking lot. Not even near Mandalay Bay. Open area. So,
luckily, but there were barricades, and it was hard for people to get out of there and scramble out of there. Now, you say your cousin was there.
Yes.
Now, he was there last night.
He was, because it's a 3-day festival.
Yeah, but he was at last night's event.
He was at last night's event.
Was able to scramble out of there. Did he give any kind of details?
He did not. As a matter of fact, I've been trying to get in contact with him just to try to see if I can get more of his story. All he just mentioned to me was that it's been a crazy night, but we're okay. So, it's one of those things where there's probably so much more details that he has, but it's just been so much for them to deal with that, he probably doesn't even know how to put those into words in a text message.
Obviously, it's so scary.
I think the caller also mentioned something that the shooter had been there for 3 days. Why didn't he shoot Friday? Why didn't he shoot Saturday? Why Sunday at the very last part of the concert? It was almost like the last song. It was the end of the night. Why? What made him wait until then? I think Saturday was probably even more packed than Sunday.
See, I think that with the search warrants, they're going into his house. They're looking for any kind of motive. I think at this point, it's too early to tell. We just don't know. I mean, look, we could sit here and speculate, but I mean, he checked in on Thursday, so maybe he was getting himself organized and ready for what he was about to do. Commit this heinous, the worst terrorist attack, obviously, in American history, besides 9/11, of course, but the worst shooting incident, mass shooting incident. Let's take this call here real quick. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air with Joey Perez of Eggs and Bacon with Joey on 32.3 over-the-air broadcast. Also, KFWD 92.5 FM on the radio with a simulcast. Go ahead. What's your question?
Joey, let me ask you a question. We're talking about all kinds of issues. Especially like the playoffs and then football games. I was thinking of when you were both saying, I was saying, well, metal detectors, it could be done, but at the same time, drones that fly around and nobody's even thinking about some crazy guy, sending a drone in there and shooting a bomb or they put some guns and whatever. That's one thing they ought to look at, because in in the games, they don't have drones, you know. Some guy could be off and then doing the same thing, you know. And there's a lot of issues. There's a lot of ways to do it, you know. But these drones and media, and what I hate about the media, they give people ideas how to do things that they would never even think about doing, that someone that mentally or whatever would do. I think media has a lot to do with it. The gun issues about controlling it, that'll never happen. You know, there's so many guns that are out there anyway, they can get on the black market. But as far as drones, that's one thing that I'm always afraid of. Thank you.
All right.
Good point. Good
Go
point.
ahead.
I mean, there are drones out there. It is scary. I mean, there have been a lot of reported news in which drones have caused issues. I mean, there was a story, maybe about a year ago, where the drone was flying near the airspace of an airplane.
Yeah.
I mean, or a helicopter. You know, ambulance, police helicopter. I mean, drones are dangerous. I've been a proponent of saying we have to put, again, the measures in to, prevent things like that from happening. People being able to fly drones just wherever they want, or whenever they want. I think that's a good point by the caller.
Yeah, by the way, as we go to break here, Eric Paddock, the brother of Stephen Paddock, the suspect in this shooting rampage that took place overnight in Las Vegas, told the Orlando Sentinel, he lives in Orlando, Florida, said that we're completely dumbfounded. We can't understand what happened in that interview. It was also interviewed by one of the television networks early this morning on the morning television shows. And so Eric Paddock and his family, they don't know why. They moved his brother down to Mesquite, Nevada. 64-year-old suspect Stephen Paddock apparently killed himself, shot himself before police arrived on that in that room on the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay Hotel in Las Vegas. We're going to return here after the break. 436 MeTV option 11. Joey Perez is here. Eggs and Bacon with Joey, 32.3 over-the-air television broadcast on one of those television stations owned by Gary Cocola, 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. So you can watch his program, then switch over to us. We're back with our program in just a moment.
When you're looking for Whirlpool innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, we'll help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified Whirlpool appliances save you energy and money and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
Not sure what you're watching? Want to see what's coming up next? Or just want to browse what's on without the hassle of flipping channels? Your wish has come true. Now you can view schedules for all the digital TV channels available in the Central Valley. Get local weather updates and forecasts, and listen to nationally syndicated Biz Talk Radio, all on KBHF 4.1. Rescan your TV now, then tune in to Digital Channel 4.1 to start enjoying the all-new TV Guide.
All right, a few more minutes on this topic, and then we'll change topics a little bit here with Joey Perez, Eggs and Bacon. Tell us a little bit about your show. I know it's 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., not 5, but they can tune in early.
Tune in early, get ready for it.
Yeah, they can be on their treadmill, work out first, have the TV on and ready to go. So 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. You've been on the air doing this for how long?
This is going to be my third year now. So
promoter by nature, turned broadcaster.
Yes.
You sound like a broadcaster.
Well, I've been around radio and television pretty much my entire life. My mom and dad met at a radio station. Their love started there at a radio station, and obviously that's where I came into fruition. But, my dad has been in radio and TV for over 20 years. So,
his name is?
Luis Perez del Castillo. He was in Hispanic television and Hispanic radio. So I was always around it. Right here in Fresno.
Right here in Fresno.
Right here in Fresno. So
Okay, see,
I was
I'm not
always
from
around
here.
it. My dad would
So you have to
literally...
forgive me on that.
No worries. My dad would literally put me on the radio. I was 9, maybe even 10 years old. My dad had the shift from 12 a.m. midnight to 6 a.m. in the morning. He was also a promoter at the time. He would sleep while I inputted the cartridges and put in the music. So I was already learning at the young age of 10 to get into radio, and then he put me on television on a local Hispanic station. I did a TV report at 13 for the WWE, but it was because of those resources that I had, that I was able to do, certain things like that, that gave me the itch, the bug.
Yeah, yeah. Getting back to this story in Las Vegas, and here's one of the things that, that really I think bothers me, and that is, and I've been a member of the media for a very long time. I think the media today, for the most part, did a pretty good job, because normally in a story like this, we jump to conclusions.
Yes.
No one seemed to do that today, although I didn't watch CNN or Fox, which I usually do. I watch just the over-the-air broadcast networks. But you remember back in Oklahoma City during the bombing, I think it was in 1996, initially everybody thought it's a Muslim. This is Muslim terror. Turned out to be Timothy McVeigh.
Mm-hmm.
So jumping the gun, jumping to conclusions before the facts are in, it's a very fine line there. You gotta be careful and not cross that line and just go with what you have. And if it isn't much, just say it's not very much. Am I right?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think we shouldn't, jump to that whole scenery of, well, let's make this more of a news story with speculation. Let's
Right.
just say, hey, these are the details that we have, and that's all we know.
Yeah, here's what we have so
Yeah,
far.
that's it.
All we know is there's a suspect that's dead, and he is a suspect at this time. His name is Stephen Paddock, 64, of Mesquite. He was found dead in his hotel room, 32nd floor, the Mandalay Bay. We know that at least 58 people are dead from this concert last night, the shooting rampage that took place, and more than 514 people are in the hospital. Those are the facts. Why? Motivation? What happened before then? That's why they're investigating this. So we, the media, and you included as a talk show host now, and I've been doing this a long time, and I've seen a lot of people jump the gun on stories like this. And it's very easy to do. Am I right?
You're absolutely right. And I was hoping that this would not turn into a political kind
Battle
of
over gun
situation.
control?
Yes,
But it's going to.
No, it is, and I know it will. But what I'm saying is, I just didn't want to turn on the news and think about whether a Republican or a Democrat were going to say this was a leftist individual who did this, or this was the alt-right, or I did not want to tune into the television and watch it. And to what you just said, I give credit to the media for not turning it that way
Kind
either.
of held back. I didn't see everything, but what I did
I watched
see,
CNN, yeah, and they did not go that route.
They just tell us just like Joe Friday, just the facts, and the fact of the matter is, had you been on the air, how would you have handled this today? Because you were on tape today, just so you could be here. How would you have handled this?
Well, I got to
or
tell
would you
you,
have talked about it at all?
I would have. But one
And
of the
you would have
things
said what?
One of the things that's great about my show, the Eggs, Bacon, and Joey Morning Show, is I talk to my listeners and viewers now, and I tell them I'm the leader of positivity. And the reason why I say that is because, yes, I would have started the show with this news, and I would have brought up the fact that, yes, this was a horrible tragedy. This was, something that we're still speculating on. We don't know all the details.
And your cousin was there.
My cousin was there. I would have talked about that, but at the same time, my listeners and viewers know that we would have gone in a different direction,
which was
to become more positive, to become more excited about good news stories. And those good news stories could have actually even been taken from the tragedy. I could have got a story in regards to people helping each other that didn't know each other. That in this incident,
well, that happened.
Yeah, it did happen.
Of course that happened. People were lying on top of other people to protect them.
I would have taken that story. There was a story of a mom there with her 4-year-old daughter.
Yes.
And there was a crowded area there that, she was behind with her 4-year-old daughter, and she said, I'm with baby. Everyone split up the line and let her walk right through and speed right through back to her hotel. That story I would have brought up on the Eggs, Bacon, and Joey Morning Show.
That's an amazing story. But we heard all kinds of stories like that on ABC and NBC today. We heard those positive stories of people saving other people, letting people go first and get out of the maze, because there were barriers there. Mm-hmm. Even though it was an open space, it was hard for some people to get out. And some people, unfortunately, I hate to put a grim, but I mean, when you got 58 people dead, that's pretty grim.
But you
and
also
it's hard
had
to put
people,
a positive spin on that.
No, but you also had people who did not run, who did not leave, who stayed on site during this whole tragedy and helped lift some of those bodies, some of the wounded, some of the people that have died on site. And those people didn't leave. And those people are heroes for not leaving. They didn't care about their lives. They wanted to save these people that were either wounded or were either dead on site from this tragedy.
Yeah, it just makes us think what's really important in life when something like this happens. And there are all kinds of positive stories out there, and you'll hear them over the course of the next few days. We heard a few of them today on network TV, where people speaking out about what they did during the tragedy that happened overnight in Las Vegas, where 58 people are now confirmed dead, could be 59. But there's so many life-saving stories out there where people were actually became heroes at a moment's notice. And you never know when you're actually going to be in that situation, when you have an opportunity to save someone's life. As we take this break, we're going to put the graphic up and take a moment of silence before we actually go to the commercial. So put it up, and a moment of silence for all the victims the shooting that took place in Las Vegas overnight.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the KitchenAid appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy.
Save big with KitchenAid. Right now, get up to a $1,000 prepaid MasterCard when you purchase select KitchenAid appliances.
Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting.
Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're the save energy, save time, save money place. The Energy Star qualified #1 rated high efficiency Cabrio from Whirlpool Place. You heard right. Right now, save big on select Whirlpool Cabrio laundry pairs and pay no interest when paid in full within 6 months. At the hometown low price, think outside the big box place. Since 1951, Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're working hard to be your place.
Time to change topics now, and also happening over the weekend, the story that just simply will not go away. O.J. Simpson, the Juice, let out of a Nevada state prison at midnight on Sunday to avoid all of the hoopla, all of the paparazzi from around the world that would have been there during the daylight hours had he been released, say at noon or at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. He was let go at midnight. So what happens to the Juice now? I don't know. Are they going to let him go to Florida? Does he have to stay in Nevada? If he does go to Florida, his running around abilities, I think his mobility will be limited. At least the Attorney General says so. She will go to court to try to stop him from going into her state. Check out this report on O.J. now back on the loose.
O.J. Simpson is eligible for release from prison come October 1st, but Nevada officials are keeping mum on the details. A Department of Corrections spokesperson indicated that Simpson could be transferred to a prison near Las Vegas from the Lovelock Correction Center in northern Nevada. Simpson has served 9 years of a 33-year sentence for armed robbery and kidnapping, following a botched attempt to retrieve his personal sports memorabilia from a Las Vegas hotel room at the Palace Station Casino. Officials are concerned about public safety surrounding his release and could delay it to avoid unwanted media attention.
Ultimately, the people that have custody of O.J. Simpson, the Nevada Department of Corrections, don't want another mid-90s Bronco scenario. They don't want to have live door-to-door coverage of every moment of O.J. Simpson's transportation.
Simpson was granted parole in July of this year, and at the time he told the parole board that he planned on living in Florida after his release. In Las Vegas, Andrew Kraft, Fox News.
All right, the story that just won't leave us alone, my friend. The Juice is on the loose again, released at midnight to avoid all the paparazzi. And you kind of, I knew it was going to happen in the middle of the night at some point to get, why didn't the other media, how come they weren't onto this at midnight? I
I
wonder.
think I've watched every single OJ documentary that there has been out there on every network.
How about
so
the one
far.
on Netflix, The People
Oh
versus
my
O.J.
goodness,
Simpson?
there are so many documentaries out there. It's like you said, it's a story that won't go away.
Ah.
And they were mentioning that he was not going to be let go on the weekend. That it had to be during the weekend. They ended up letting him go yesterday
Well,
on
I think
Sunday.
they were just look. They threw a curveball. There's no question about it. I mean, they threw a decoy. It was a decoy.
No,
We're going to let him go Monday or
I think
Tuesday.
you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah, and then they let him go at midnight on Sunday morning. So,
But apparently there were reports that he was going to Florida, and that that's where he was going to be staying in Florida.
I don't know where he is right now. I have to be honest. I have no idea if OJ's still in Nevada or if he's on his way to Florida. But the Attorney General, as you know, has said firmly that she doesn't want him in Florida. And if he does end up in Florida, the courts rule against her, she's going to try to limit his movements around the state. So, and apparently, OJ, you have information I don't have.
Yeah, no, I was
What the heck?
I was watching all this information in regards to the OJ case and the documentaries, and they had Hanford plotted in the map of where his possessions were.
Mike Gilbert, his former agent, I believe, still lives in Hanford. In fact, I've been in touch with him via telephone, text, and whatnot. And so, you know, I don't know how many of his possessions he has. I don't even want to say or speculate, but he apparently has some of OJ's possessions.
A lot of Central Valley ties, though. Like I said, I saw
Yeah.
Hanford on the map there as far as storage units that were used, and then I believe his sister lives here in Fresno.
No, his ex-wife.
Ex-wife, there you go.
Marguerite,
ex-wife,
I believe.
yeah.
Marguerite, his first wife, lives here. I don't know if she lives here with her daughter or whatnot, but there was a big story in the Fresno Bee about it in July, I believe.
At the end of the day, I look at it like this. This could either be a happy ending story for OJ, where he goes off and rides off into the sunset,
Looking for the real killers.
looking for the real killers, or this could be a story. This could be a story where once again, in about a year, or maybe less than that, we see OJ in the news again.
About what? About what?
Well, last time he was trying to get his memorabilia, and he was,
What could he possibly get in trouble for this time?
he had these guys at gunpoint in what was it, Vegas, in the report that we just saw. It's like
Apparently, he was charged with kidnapping and robbery. He only served 9 years of a 33-year term. And now I guess the Goldman family, they're going to go after him, they said. Ron Goldman's father.
he
said
will not give up.
No. Would you?
I wouldn't if it was my son. No way.
Yeah, he
no
wants
way.
restitution. He wants part of that $33 million judgment against OJ. And apparently OJ's retirement from the National Football League can't be touched. Does that bother you?
You know what?
Does that bother you?
It bothers me in a sense that there are so many people out there doing so many great things, and sometimes, they fall on the short end of the stick and aren't able to have these luxuries like an O.J. Simpson, who's going to walk away with, what is this, millions of dollars?
Well, he's got NFL retirement, which means he has health benefits. He's got money coming in every month to the tune of, I don't know how many thousands a month from the NFL, because he played a long time in the National Football League. I think from like 72 until 89, I want to say.
And we're not here to take
maybe
away
79.
And we're not here to take away anything that OJ accomplished in football. Obviously, he was a great player.
Yeah.
The sad thing is will it be OJ Simpson that we'll be talking about again in a different type of story? I mean, come on. Did you hear the story about Anthony Weiner? I saw the documentary on Anthony
he's
Weiner.
going to prison.
How many times was this guy given chances?
Yeah. All right, caller, you're on the air with Joey Perez. What's your question? What's your comment today?
Oh, yeah, long-time watcher, first-time caller. Are you guys aware that there was a shooting in Las Vegas last night about the time, sometime at 1 in the morning?
We just got through talking about that for the first 40 minutes of the program. Where were you between 10 a.m. to 10:40?
I apologize.
I got scared
Yeah,
there. I thought you mentioned there was another shooting. I got scared there.
Yeah, was there a...
No, it was just the one.
Yeah, we talked about that the first 40 minutes of the program today.
Yeah, because that's more important than OJ getting out. I mean, OJ is who he is, but all criminals, some criminals get out and some criminals get dealt with. So.
What are your thoughts on the shooting?
It's a weird place we're in because now it's in Nevada, and then last month it was in what's that, Charlottesville? 'Cause I get
Charlottesville,
Charlottesville
Virginia.
and Charlotte, North
Yeah.
Carolina. Okay, Charlottesville, Virginia was the big one, and then this one last night during a concert. So we're in a bad spot. So I don't know what to deal with.
What do you mean we're in a bad spot? Tell us what your thoughts are.
We haven't. If I'm not wrong, we haven't had to deal with a whole lot of acts of violence. I mean, it's the ones in Oklahoma City bombing is a bad situation, and outside of that, we really haven't been dealing with a whole lot. But now, here it is, 2017. We have shootings in Charlottesville, Virginia, and Las Vegas, Nevada, and it's just that's why I say.
Look, we did deal with callers. Stay there for a second. We did deal with the first World Trade Center bombing in 1993. There were 6 people that died in that event. And then we went through Oklahoma City, which was another one. And what was the shooting in elementary school? Was it Newtown? Newtown. Yeah. We went through that. Of course, 9/11. It goes without saying. And we've been through a few others, and now this. So we have had our share, in recent years. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, but this year's been a whole lot. So.
Well, I don't want to confuse the Charlottesville, Virginia protests and the I mean, yeah, there was a young lady that did die that she was run over, but that obviously was not even to the extent of what took place last night.
Do you consider both terrorist acts?
Another thing, we're not remembering the Batman where he was at the theater.
What was it? I didn't understand what I said there.
The theater in Denver, or Littleton, Colorado, was it?
Oh, yeah, that was the movie theater incident. We talked about that a little bit.
Yeah. Go ahead.
When we say terrorists, we're talking about the incident. You're mentioning that the question was if Charlottesville was a terrorist attack and if this Las Vegas incident was a terrorist attack. Is that what the question was?
Yeah. And we're forgetting the Boston Marathon.
Boston Marathon,
that attack as well. And so
now when we're talking terrorists, are we saying because they're tied to an organization, or are we saying terrorists because of terrorism in what took place?
Well, okay, let's put this into context here. Stephen Paddock, 64, Mesquite, Nevada. At this point, I'm not saying he's not, because I don't have all the facts. Police have not tied him to any group. Nonetheless, is this a terrorist act? Is he a terrorist?
It's terror.
Just because he's not tied to a group doesn't mean he's not a terrorist,
and that's
right?
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. When we're talking about terrorism, what took place in Las Vegas last night, to me, is terrorism.
Right.
He doesn't have to be tied to an organization to be a terrorist. What took place last night was filled with terror.
Yeah. And I kind of disagree with the caller. I appreciate you calling in. Thank you very much for that. But I do disagree. We have had our share of terrorist activities here in this country, dating back to 1993.
But really, has it been that much in the 1 year where we've had this many incidents? No. I mean, this is one.
All right, what have we had this year? Go ahead. We've had Charlottesville,
which was the protest where the one young girl died.
Then we had last night. Okay, that's 2. That's big. I mean, we've had 2 big events this year. The year's not over yet. Name some others that we've had.
Well, once again, as I mentioned, the protests incident in Charlottesville where one young lady died.
Right.
I can't compare that to what happened last night.
Okay.
Last night, I mean, you're talking 58 plus. You're talking over 400 people injured. I mean, what happened last night cannot compare to the Charlottesville protest where the young lady died.
I understand.
I mean, it's just, you can't compare the two. You know what I mean?
All right, let's take our final break here with Joey Perez. He is here, Eggs and Bacon with Joey, 32.3 over-the-air broadcast on the Cocola television broadcasting station, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. We're back after this. Let's put that graphic up. Let's keep this up for about a minute before we go to commercial. Moment of silence for all the victims in Las Vegas.
Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer, and now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Whirlpool appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start, but you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Touch the new Whirlpool Ice Collection. It offers a modern style made to create an inspiring kitchen experience. Save big on this Whirlpool Black Ice or White Ice kitchen. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
That's Not Your Husband. After Alexander Skarsgård won an Emmy for his role in Big Little Lies, co-star Nicole Kidman gave him a kiss on the lips as real-life husband Keith Urban watched on beside them. Keith didn't seem to mind his wife was kissing another man. Nicole kissed Alexander, who played her husband in Big Little Lies. Nicole couldn't contain her excitement about Alexander's win and tenderly touched his face after he left the stage. As Nicole smooched her co-star, Keith smiled and clapped.
I have 2 little girls, Sunny and Faith, and my darling Keith, who I ask to help me pursue this artistic path, and they have to sacrifice so much for it.
Nicole locked lips with husband Keith after winning her Emmy Award. Keith planted several smooches on his wife on the red carpet.
All right, so the question that I have is, after Nicole Kidman kissed Alexander Skarsgård, did she bleach her lips before she again then kissed her husband later that night, Keith Urban, as he stood there and he watched? Why is this a big deal? This happened at the Emmys. Do you watch the Emmys? Do you care? Well, you know what? Joey Perez cares. Eggs and Bacon with Joey. This is what Joey had to say on his program on the Cocola station at 6 a.m. Last week. Joey, Nicole Kidman kiss. His take.
Are you guys following this story about Nicole Kidman and her kiss with her co-star from Big Little Lies? Did you guys watch the Emmys? Anybody? No? Okay. Well, apparently Nicole Kidman shared a smooch, and I'm talking about a smooch. She was sharing the lips with her Big Little Lies co-star, Alexander Skarsgård, at the Emmys on Sunday, and her husband was there, and the way she grabbed this guy and kissed him, let me tell you something. If my wife decided to grab a man by his face and he grabbed her hips and they kissed in front of me, there would be a problem. There would be a major problem. And I'm not just saying problem like, oh, a little, small little thing. No. There's going to be some fisticuffs that are about to go down. But while that detail has had tongues wagging ever since then, we don't think Keith Urban, who's her husband, the country star, really had any problem with the awards night affection. I don't think he cared.
So what are you saying, Joey? They would have hauled you off in handcuffs.
Oh, man.
You'd have jumped on that stage and you'd have decked someone, wouldn't you?
I would have never allowed that to happen. On top of that, my wife would have never allowed that to happen. I hope.
Oh my
But, it's just one
God.
of those things, Look,
what was
I'm
going
okay.
through Nicole's mind then?
I'm okay with the Hollywood kiss. You know, you do the smooch on the cheek, and that's great. But they hugged, they grabbed each other's face like they were in a relationship at some point, or even during that moment.
Should
Over
we
Keith
care?
Urban.
Should we care?
Well, I guess not. I mean, they have their own story to tell, but
Yeah.
I'm giving my opinion on what I saw, and I would never allow my wife to be in that situation.
Okay. I'm glad you don't have an opinion on this.
That's what we do on Eggs, Bacon, and Joey. You know,
That's an example of what you do.
We dissect things, but we also do things in which we are having a conversation. When you and I are sitting having coffee in the morning, I want to talk to you. Hey, did you watch the Emmys last night? Did you see what Nicole Kidman did? She kissed that guy in front of her husband.
Yeah.
And somebody goes, oh, well, I would never do that.
See, the thing is, how would you mix your show? Because you have so much going on right now. You have the shooting in Vegas.
Yep.
You've got O.J. Simpson.
Yep.
Who was let out, and I know O.J. is like minute compared to what happened in Vegas. You got the Hollywood thing.
Mm-hmm.
You got the NFL experience
Yeah.
with the no standing for the national anthem. Although I think you had fewer players doing it this past weekend, which is interesting. And so how would you have handled the 5 hours on your program?
The way that I look at my show, Eggs, Bacon, and Joey,
Would
is
you have
if
covered everything?
I would have. Because when you and I leave here and we go have coffee, we're going to talk about everything and anything. I'm going to say, hey, John, did you hear about this?
Yeah.
Or, hey, you know, and when I have family over to my house,
Yeah.
that's the same thing. Hey, did you guys hear that story about OJ? Hey, did you guys hear? I want to treat Eggs, Bacon, and Joey that way as well.
All right. So what's your take on the NFL? What should these players be doing?
Well,
Quickly,
do we
'cause
have
got-
time?
no,
Do we have
30
time?
seconds. I need a 30-second.
Wow, you put me on the spot here.
What are you talking about? You're on the air. You know.
My take on the
30
NFL
seconds.
is this. If you want to protest,
Fire 'em, right?
you can go ahead and protest. But it's up to the team's decision if they want to fire these guys. These guys are millionaires. They're making all this money
so
out
Trump
there.
ought to stay out of it?
Trump, stay out of it. Focus on Puerto Rico. Focus on what's going on
North
in
Korea.
the government, North Korea, all that stuff. Come on.
Healthcare.
What are we
Focus on
worried
that.
about the NFL about? If the fans want to burn their tickets, let them burn their tickets. We got bigger things, bigger fish to fry.
Yeah. All right. Man, is that it? We're out of time. Are you going to come back?
I'm going to come back, man. I loved it. I had fun.
I loved it too, and you're a good man for
Thank
showing
you.
up
I
on
appreciate
this
it.
day. Joey Perez, Eggs and Bacon with Joey, 32.3 over-the-air broadcast, Cocola television broadcasting station, simulcast on KFWD 92.5 FM. That's going to do it for us. A moment of silence for the victims in Las Vegas. Stay safe.
Tonight I want to discuss the